Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Bleav in Iowa podcast. Brady is not here with us today, so it was just me, Logan Blackman, and former Iowa Hawkeye tight end Dominique Dafney. And Dom, we are in a little bit better mood than the last time we recorded an episode following a Hawkeye game. Iowa's coming off a nice little win against UMass. We saw the passing game open up a little bit. We saw some receivers making some nice catches. The running game still there. Got a nice little freshman coming up as well. 47-7 victory. Dom, what are some of your takeaways from this win against UMass?
When I turned the game on, my first thought was, wow, people are really watching our show because what did we say? Come out and take shots. And that first drive, that's all we were asking for, was to come out and throw the ball and let's see what Mark can do and let's grow this passing game. And they looked good. Obviously, lesser opponent UMass, and I understand we can't be too happy, as if it was a Big Ten opponent or Iowa State, but from the first 2 weeks, we can just be happy that we were able to complete the ball. We were able to throw well. Our running game was playing well. We protected the quarterback well, and just to see our offense score at 47 points, to throw over 100 yards, to move the ball well, it was what we asked for. And I kept telling my friends while I was watching the game, if we don't score over 40 points, I'm going to be disappointed. Because, yes, I understand that we weren't going to press too much because it is a lesser opponent and because we have a Big Ten opponent coming up this Friday. But still, what did Brady say? We got to get some fireworks going. So I was glad to see that. And, of course, scoring that many points and moving in a positive direction offensively, I'm always happy to see.
Yeah, and it was nice to see Grownowski. He looked confident for the first time this year where he's actually throwing the ball. 3 total touchdowns in this game for him. No interceptions, no fumbles. Iowa avoided turnovers in this game. And when you're playing a team like UMass where you're expected to win and expected to win comfortably, even though what we've saw from Iowa previously, you've got to control what you can control and don't turn the ball over and don't beat yourself up. And Iowa really didn't have any, minus the blocked punt later in the game. But other than that, Iowa played a pretty clean game, and Grownowski had the same amount of attempts that he had against Iowa State, just double, pretty much just, he had more yards in this game than he did the first 2 previous games combined. And the receivers, they looked confident. Sam Phillips made some really nice catches throughout the course of the game. It's just some positive signs to hopefully build on the rest of the season. Because like you said, it's against UMass, the team you're expected to beat. So you can't really go like, oh, now we're going to go on to win a national title or anything. But it's definitely some building steps to build confidence for the rest of the season.
Yeah, and that's what these games are about when you get to the first 3 weeks, or you talk about the first 3 weeks of the season, is getting the ball rolling. I mean, we could practice as much as we want in the spring, we could practice as much as we want in the fall, but those live reps, you can't replicate those no matter what. And we understand that playing in camp and playing in spring ball, like your defense essentially by the week 3 knows exactly what you're doing. So when we talk about those being the hardest practices because it's so hard to game plan against your own defense, it's hard when you got to game plan against another team because you have no idea what they're going to come up with. I mean, as much film as you watch, even when you play a team like UMass or you play a team like a lot of these non-conference teams, a lot of this stuff you kind of have to assume what's going to happen because you're not familiar with playing a lot of these teams. Obviously, Iowa State is completely different, but when you talk about playing Albany, is the UMass, is the South Dakota States, a lot of the teams that Iowa plays in the first 3 weeks, there's not a lot of times where we have a lot of film to watch on them. So as long as we're moving the ball well and like you said, controlling what we can control, a lot of the mentality of the first 3 weeks is let's get better as a team. Let's find a way to can control what we can control, get better on offense, get better on defense, figure out what we got as a team. So when we get to those Big Ten games, we're hitting on all cylinders. And I think this is a very good stepping stone. Again, we can't get too excited because we played a team who was 0-2 and was missing half of the roster with being down. But we're just happy to see progress. And like you said, Grownowski looked a lot more confident in his arm, in his legs, in his decision-making. Like, I think there was maybe a couple throws where he was second-guessing or, like, pumped a little bit. But other than that, it's 1, 2, 3, get the ball out, first read, second read. It's not there, let me run. And when you see a quarterback moving like that, when you see any player moving like that, like you're gaining confidence in him, and you could tell that they were gaining confidence as an offense.
And he had that nice little touchdown run in there on the quarterback draw where he shoved off numerous defenders. Just he was not going to get denied into the end zone. And like you talked about with the getting the ball out quick, there's some throws that you brought this up of like he pumps a little bit where it might not be like a giant pump like that, but it's enough to where it could just slightly throw off the timing and the routes. And you see some of those throws that he's missed are where he's kind of patting the ball a little bit. Maybe not, again, not some big drawn out like this, but just something slight. And it's all we call football the game of inches. And it's in those types of moments too, even that little tiny bit can throw things off. But if he's looking confident and going off those first reads, then we could definitely build something. And another thing in this game that's always nice to see when you're blowing out a team like this and you get to see some of the backups come in. And I thought Hank Brown, for the little bit that we saw him, he looked pretty solid. Nathan McNeil, I brought him up a little bit before, the freshman running back. I thought he looked really good as well. It's always nice to get those types of moments so you know, like, your depth is fine. Like, I feel more comfortable in Hank Brown if anything were to happen to Grownowski than I ever did if something happened to Cade McNamara or Spencer Petras or anybody before that as well. It's just a nice feeling to have, even though, again, nothing really that we can point to and go, this is something that this is going to happen the rest of the year, but it's a nice building block for potential things to come.
100%. And I can immediately think back to the two throws, the touchdown throw and the throw down the left sideline where it was almost a touchdown. Like, those were two throws where I was like, okay, like, yeah, if we God forbid, like anything were to happen to our starting quarterback, to see our backup quarterback be able to come in and make plays and throw the ball really well, and we know he's got some athleticism to him, but that is very comforting to have a backup quarterback where even if he's got to come in for a drive or two, you know, he can make plays. I can't remember what the quarterback's name was that played for the Chiefs who came in and Pat Mahomes went down and he led a, you know what I'm talking about?
Chad Henne.
Yeah. And he led the drive for a touchdown because you could tell like the momentum swung in the whole stadium when Pat went off to the sideline. They're like, and like the defense could like they were excited because they're like, oh, we're about to get after this quarterback and make a play and switch the game. But no, he remained calm. He came in and led a drive scoring or a touchdown scoring drive that actually kept them afloat. And then Pat came back, so it was like nothing happened. So that's what you want in your backups. You want them to be able to come in and like nothing changes. We can still drive the ball. We can still throw the ball. It sucks when you get a backup quarterback in and like half the playbook is just erased because you know you can't run these plays. So when you have a backup quarterback like that can make those type of throws, that can make those type of plays, even being the backup, like that's something to lean on. That's something that you're going to need down the stretch of these Big Ten games when they get physical and they get a little grimy. When you play the Penn States of the world, the Indianas of the world now, I guess. But when you start to play those games, you never know what's going to happen. So having a backup that you can really rely on is much more important than people really think about.
Yeah, and it's also like you brought up earlier as well, where you're not eliminating the playbook with putting him in, because that's always the big fear. It's like, crap. Well, this guy gets hurt. Like I remember a couple years ago, the Bills had Case Keenum as Josh Allen's backup. It's like you can't do any. Case Keenum can't do anything Josh Allen can do in regards to like the running, the arm strength, and stuff like that. So you're limiting the playbook a little bit. So it's nice to have that confidence in the backup quarterback going into games where you might need him to come. If worse comes to worse, you might need him to come in. Or if worse comes to worse, and Grownowski starts going downhill and he has to play and he's the starter now, if you feel confident with him the rest of the year. But I did see some like Big Ten quarterback grades, Big Ten power rankings. And for this past week, they gave, the one I saw anyways, gave Mark Grownowski a B on his grade for this game because it wasn't anything spectacular, but he looked confident, did the part, did what he needed to do. In Iowa, for their Big Ten power rankings, I thought this was a little interesting as well. Coming in at number 11 in the Big Ten right now. Reminder, there's 18 teams in the Big Ten, which just always makes a ton of sense how that all works out. But how would you grade Grownowski in this game, and how would you look at Iowa for the rest of the season? Because we didn't give really the highest of grades for Iowa last week, and we were talking about like our expectations for the rest of the season. I think I gave a 5 or a 6. You gave a 4 or 5 in there. Like, What are your expectations now coming off this win against UMass?
I would say maybe a little bit higher than they were before. Again, it's UMass, so it's hard to really. Oh, now we're really behind the team. It's like this is the team we're supposed to beat. You know, this is a team we were supposed to blow out. You made a layup. Congratulations. You did what you were supposed to do. I think I would agree with the B. we saw him more composed. We saw him more confident, but there were still some plays in there I want us to connect on. I know I talked about the one play while we were texting during the game that he saw the blitz off the edge and he just stared at it and just took the sack. It was like, do something. I mean, even if you dirt the ball at a receiver's feet, if you step up in the pocket, step around, I mean, we can't really just stand there like a deer in the headlights and just take a sack. Like, I understand, like, it wasn't the biggest thing, but it's just something it's just something you don't want to see. You just taking a sack for when you don't have to, you have to understand that you're hot off the edge. So we have to do something about it. We got to throw hot. We got to move. We got to do something. So I would say a B is where I would stand as well. I saw a lot of things that I liked. Throwing the ball, running the ball wise from Mark Grownowski, but of course want to just continue to see progress, continue to see steps forward. And from a team's perspective, I mean, we got a decent amount of teams who are undefeated. So I feel like that's automatically where it starts. I mean, it's hard to put a team above another team that hasn't won all their games. There are teams who are 2-0, there are teams who are 3-0. It's hard to put a team that's 2-1 in front of them simply just off that alone.
Yeah.
So obviously it'll shake up when we start playing Big Ten games, but I feel like Iowa's in a good spot. When we talk about, we got Washington, Rutgers I think is ahead of us. Michigan State, Nebraska, so Maryland, so all those teams that are undefeated. We're going to see what really happens when we start playing better opponents, when it's not 59-3, when it's not 47-7. We're going to see what happens, but I feel like the way that we finish this game definitely put us in a better position offensively.
And this will be my last thing on Grownowski, and I love that you brought it up about the checkdowns, knowing your hot reads. If you read the blitzers coming in, you have to know where those backs are, where the check down is. And I've seen some clips of, like, even NFL quarterbacks. If you see people on social media, which is always the best place to get the best football analysis, is just scrolling on social media. It's they see people like missing the check downs or not looking at the check. So it's like, well, how's he supposed to know he's there if he's not looking at him? Well, that's the whole point of practice and preparation. You know he's there because if you see that blitzer coming in, you have that easy check down. And we saw that early in the game against Albany where he tried to float one in to Washington that he overshot and almost got picked off. Once he gets those things down and once he stops like staring directly into the eyes of the blitzer, then hopefully everything will start unraveling after that. And I guess it's a game against Albany. Iowa handled business, but the final thing about this game that I really want to touch on, Kirk Ferentz, win 206, all-time winningest coach in Big Ten history. What are your thoughts on it? What was it like playing for Kirk Ferentz? Just what are your just overall opinions about the whole occasion, I guess you could really say?
Super proud, super happy for him. I sent the video to you guys where it was us. It was me. I was literally right there in the middle. I think that's when he passed Coach Fry. And we're always excited for people's success. That was one thing he always talked about when guys got Big Ten Player of the Week, Big Ten Returner of the Week, whatever. We're always happy for people's success. And, he's a great coach. He does things the right way. He honestly grows boys into men in my experience. And no matter what you want to say about Iowa football or the controversy that's ever been there, the controversy that was going on when I was there, like when I left that school, like I was a grown man, and I could tell by the work ethic that they instilled, the mentality that they instilled, the just never giving up, just everything, like the little small things, like the little small sayings they would say, like leave the jersey in a better place, sweep the sheds, like stuff like that. Like I say jokingly to this day, but they left such a footprint on me and a lot of other athletes and a lot of other people that's the reason why you see 6-7 Iowa Hawkeyes in the top 100 when you talk about the NFL. Like they know how to grow football players, and he's the reason for that. The way that he preaches football, the way that he preaches the details, the way that they so I'm not surprised to see him accomplish this. I'm extremely happy for him. I'm extremely happy for the direction that the program is going into. And you can't say Iowa Hawkeyes without Kirk Ferentz. Like they're one and the same. They're synonymous. So definitely happy to see him get that. And I had a lot of feelings about it, and I had a lot of happy memories seeing the game, and I always have a lot of happy thoughts when I see Iowa play, and knowing that I was there for 3 years and seeing all the guys. So I'm definitely happy for them, and of course many more hopefully in the future.
It's just crazy to look at like the success that Iowa's had, not just on the field, but talking about players in the NFL, including yourself, of like the guys that have gone from, like, you look at players like Cooper DeJean going from OAB CIG to becoming a top 100 player in the NFL. You've got like these smaller school kids coming to Iowa and turning into these very, very good football players. Like, I saw a thing the other day, most active players in the NFL. Iowa has the 12th or 13th most active players in the NFL at 42, and that's one above Texas. If that gives a an idea of what the development is at Iowa, it's that, like, the not a lot of 5-star recruits at Iowa. I believe Xavier Nwankpa is the highest rated recruit Iowa's ever gotten, and that was just a couple years ago. And Iowa still continuously 8, 9, 10 win seasons, Big Ten title, championship appearances, BCS bowls, like all of that great stuff. And yeah, it was exciting as a fan's perspective to watch that happen. And I can only imagine as a former player seeing that happen as well. And I want to end this on one last thing. This is the last thing I want to touch on in regards to this UMass game. Kaden Wetjen would not be denied his trip to the end zone. He was taking back every single kick, every opportunity he had to have a house call. He took it, and he finally got one 98-yard punt return touchdown. It was just everything overall, it was just a fun game. It was just a fun game to watch. From Kirk getting win 206, Wetjen's punt returns and kick returns, Grownowski looking confident. It was just overall just a good feeling going into this game against Rutgers.
100%. And I feel I think that Wetjen's going to be somebody we're going to have to keep an eye on. Mm-hmm. He's going to be one of those guys where we go as he goes. Like, whenever I have a small inkling by the end of the year, I'm going to be like, is every game that Wetjen had over 50, 75-yard return, like, we won or something like that. I feel like that his energy, and you could tell by the way that people responded to when he finally got in the end zone, you could tell that the team gets their energy from him. You know, he's one of the guys that they probably love in the locker room, just one of those guys that they want to see him succeed. They want to see him make plays. They want to get him the ball however they can because he's speedy. He can make plays. He's an open field guy. He can turn a 5-yard gain into a 15-yard gain. So he's going to be one of those guys where we're leaning on him to make plays on special teams and on offense, whether it's throwing the ball, catching the ball, running the ball, returning the ball. He's going to be like our little Swiss Army knife. I have a feeling that we're going to lean on him when it comes to Big Ten play. And one thing I love to see was when the return before he scored, which is how frustrated he was because he got caught. That's what you want to see. You want to see your guys compete. And you love the fact that he wanted to score so bad, and he was frustrated with himself, and he still returned it for like 40-plus yards. So it's like, no, but I want more. And that's what you want from your team. That's what you want from your teammates, the guys who aren't satisfied with the small things. They want everything. I want it all. So having a guy like that on your team is a great thing to have. A guy you can lean on, a kind of a veteran guy in your team that you can lean on, that a lot of the young guys can look up to and be like, that's the example. That's what we're looking for. That's the guy we're supposed to be. And I feel like he's going to make a lot of good plays for us this year.
182 punt return yards in this game for Kaden Wetjen. Just ridiculous. And
got to be some sort of record.
Yeah, if it's not, it's damn close. It's got to be close if it's not.
It's got to be. Ran 2 football fields almost.
Oh, God, that's just.
Ran down and back.
Goodness great. That's just ridiculous. I don't know how he had any oxygen left in the tank after that one, but yeah, that's a nice little wrap up for the UMass game. Brady's expectation, like we've talked about before, 5-1 going to Penn State. You feeling confident about 5-1 going to Penn State?
I'm going to say this in the most Kirk Ferentz way possible, 1 week at a time.
Hell
One game at a time, 1 week at a time. 5-1 starts on Friday against Rutgers. So taking one week at a time, and we can go from there.
I can't think of a better way to end it right there with the Kirk Ferentz way of posting this off. So with that being said, I've been Logan Blackman. He's Dominique Dafney. Follow us on all different forms of social media. We got X, Instagram, TikTok, all that great stuff. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all that great stuff. Again, I've been Logan Blackman. He's former Hawkeye Dominique Dafney, and we will see you guys later.